New Year's has Auld Lang Syne, and Halloween has the Monster Mash, and Thanksgiving has that one Ben Rector song, but Christmas has hundreds of thousands of songs that play continuously for a full month. Oh, that actually looks closer to 5 weeks. Oh no. The Romans threw a festival each December to honor the god Saturn. Nope, Saturn. Nope, Saturn. This was a very festive festival. People would eat and drink and just generally be merry. During the festival, gifts were exchanged, gambling was permitted, and masters would even serve their slaves. Music was certainly a part of these festivals. Festive frolics frequently feature folk songs. While Saturnalia probably influenced a lot of the Christmas traditions that would follow around the world, the early Christian church was largely against many of its more raucous traditions. So how did Jesus' birth end up on December 25th? Well, you see, it all goes back to the early Christian concept. Sorry, yeah, no, there's no time. Not for this video. Not today. For a religion that celebrates Jesus, his birthday is pretty important. The Catholic Church has a lot of Mass, but on December 25th, they have 3 times the Mass. They call this one the Christ Mass. A good number of the songs for this Mass were nativity related, such as Veni, Redemptor, Genitum, and Natus, both from the 4th century. Natus may have also been written as a counter-argument to Arianism. Well, what's Arianism, you ask? Well, you see, back in the day, there were these people that were actually... Wow, sorry about that. Memory card filled right up there. The church calendar by the Middle Ages already had a healthy dose of Christmas. 4 Sundays are devoted to Advent, for reasons. January 6th is Epiphany, which celebrates the visit of the Magi. This had overshadowed Christmas Day in the Middle Ages, so December 25th to January 6th makes up the 12 days of Christmas. So even by the Middle Ages, Christmas already took up from late November to early January. In the 12th century, St. Francis popularized the idea of Christmas songs in the vernacular as opposed to just in Latin, and so a lot of familiar songs show up around this time. Some of these are newer songs that were written by composers for use in current church services. However, most of them are much older. By the time a carol or a song shows up in a publication, it's probably been sung by the populace for many, many years. Carols first show up in England in 1426, when John Audley published 25 Carols for Christmas, which were likely wassailing songs. What's wassailing? It's this thing where people would go from house to house singing songs and offering drinks from the wassail bowl. And all they ask in return is a gift. Maybe some figgy pudding. Maybe they won't go until they get some. Another type of wassailing involved a group of people going to an orchard and drinking from the wassail bowl and singing directly to trees to promote a healthy harvest. However, I have yet to see any scientific studies on the efficacy of this method. Then in the 16th century, Martin Luther had a falling out with the Catholic Church, but that's an entire other can of worms. Martin Luther loved Christmas. Legends say that he found one tree so particularly beautiful that he murdered it with an axe and then displayed it in his home. Can you imagine? He probably didn't write Away in a Manger, but he did write a handful of other Christmas hymns. The Lutheran flavor of the Protestant Reformation held congregational singing in high regard, so the singing of Christmas carols in church services became a popular fixture. As music entered the concert hall, so did Christmas music. Composers like Corelli and J.S. Bach both have Christmas oratorios. A lot of composers have settings of the Magnificat and the Nunc Dimittis. These are both biblical texts from the book of Luke surrounding the birth of Christ. It's a lot of composers that have settings. I even have a setting. Everyone else was doing it. Handel then wrote The Messiah, which, like The Lord of the Rings, is almost 3 hours long, but unlike The Lord of the Rings, it features the Hallelujah Chorus. The libretto was written partially as a counter-argument against deism. You know, it's amazing how much church music was written to prove that someone else was wrong. Despite a lackluster reception at first, it's now performed every single year. And of course, we can't forget Tchaikovsky's ballet, The Nutcracker. Some Christmas celebrations were apparently getting a bit too debaucherous because in 1644, England canceled Christmas.
Christmas is canceled.
You can't cancel a holiday.
It's okay, Oliver Cromwell. The French revolutionaries weren't a big fan of Christmas either. Celebrations of Christmas returned with the monarchy in 1660. England saw a renewed admiration for Christmas traditions in the Victorian era, thanks largely in part to Prince Albert, who brought over his Christmas traditions from Germany when he married Queen Victoria. And with that, we got a new flurry of Christmas carols throughout the 19th century. The popular songs continued to be a mixture of both old traditional songs and newly written Christmas carols. These new Christmas carols were codified in large collections published in 1833 and 1871. Christmas songs remained largely in church and community celebrations through the early 20th century, but two things would change that. The radio, obviously, and World War II. The U.S. Office of War Information commissioned the composers of Tin Pan Alley to write a war song that would boost morale, but nothing seemed to catch on with the public or with the troops. It was surprisingly the homesickness and nostalgia of White Christmas that resonated with the troops who were spending their first Christmas away from home. Irving Berlin wrote the song for Holiday Inn. Not quite. The movie Holiday Inn, starring Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby first sang White Christmas for U.S. radio audiences in December 1941, shortly after the Pearl Harbor attacks. It would then go on to become one of the most popular songs of 1942, both in sheet music and record sales. Crosby would later go on to sing the song for troops in France in 1944. In 1954, Bing Crosby would once again find himself singing White Christmas in a movie, this time the movie White Christmas. After the war, Christmas songs would become more popular with the public, especially with their inclusion in movies.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
And in Broadway shows.
For we need a little Christmas right this very minute.
That last song there includes a character who is complaining about the Christmas decorations going up too soon, only a week after Thanksgiving. Different times. While songs like Santa Claus is Coming to Town and Winter Wonderland were published in the 30s, White Christmas became the first Christmas song to really dominate the charts. Many of our Christmas classics were written in the following decade, looking to capitalize on that trend. Perhaps fittingly enough, Bing Crosby was one of the first, if not the first, to publish a dedicated Christmas album in 1945. Christmas album production increased steadily through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, with this notable jump in the 80s. Just about every major artist puts out a Christmas album. Elvis, the Beach Boys, the Jackson 5, Mariah Carey, even Alvin and the Chipmunks. Not surprisingly, albums typically include a blend of Christmas classics as well as new Christmas songs written for the album. At least according to Wikipedia, 2008 was the height of the Christmas album, with 70 different Christmas albums released that year. And why not make a Christmas album? They make boatloads of money, and they're guaranteed to be played on repeat for a few months every year. And does anyone have a good statistic on revenue? It's got to be in the billions. So yeah, go right now and make a Christmas album. No, seriously, what am I still doing making this video? Anyway, that's a brief history of Christmas music. Click over here if you'd like to see me rant about Christmas lyrics that just don't make any sense. Okay, yeah, no, I'm off to make a Christmas album.